Well, I mean, Daniel Handler is. Lemony Snicket is purely the persona.
Yeah, okay. That makes
It's
sense.
It's not like he's credited as Lemony Snicket in the liner notes of 69 Love Songs.
Okay, but think about it. That would still make sense.
Yeah.
Welcome to Noise Floor, a podcast about music through the lens of our favorite bands' discographies. I'm Matt Kistler.
And I'm Troy Sennett.
And today we're starting a new series. If you are just joining us, we just finished up the discography of famed LA band Rilo Kiley, who I hope at this point when you're hearing this are announced as back together. They're really leaving us hanging here at this point, but we'll see. Yeah, check it out totally, especially if you're into the band that we are about to talk about. We're starting a series here on Franklin, Tennessee's Paramore, who released their first album, All We Know Is Falling, back in 2005. So we're coming up on 20 years of officially released Paramore stuff. We'll talk a little bit more about the actual album later, but Troy, do you want to give me a little bit of your history with this band?
Yeah, I don't know if I can quite say I'm like a day one Paramore fan, but like, I don't know, pretty early on I was aware of them. This came out on Fueled by Ramen, like 2 or 3 months after From Under the Cork Tree. And so I was like, that was when I was like becoming a diehard Fall Out Boy fan and starting to like be interested in what labels were putting out the records that I liked. And so I was like a Fueled by Ramen obsessive. And so like anything they released, I was at least checking out, or, you know, all the sampler CDs you would get at tours or Hot Topic or whatever. So I was aware of Paramore's singles pretty early on. I don't think I became like a huge fan until the Riot era, but I remember hearing especially like Pressure and Emergency a lot in this era.
Totally. Yeah, I feel kind of similarly. I was obviously like reading alternative press back around this time, and I was paying attention to what was coming out on Fueled by Ramen. I think at that point it was still Vinny from Less Than Jake's label in some way, shape, or form. It might not have been at that point, but that was kind of how the label in general came on my radar.
Yeah, they were an Atlantic subsidiary at that point.
That checks out. But yeah, I remember hearing some of these songs and like pretty immediately being like, okay, this band's got something going on. And I picked up the CD pretty early on, saw them at Warped Tour, I think it must have been 2006 at that point, because this came out way too close to the 2005 Warped Tour for me to have like gotten it and actually bothered to check them out. But yeah, saw them there. But yeah, definitely latched on a lot more in the Riot era shortly thereafter. But yeah, I mean, kind of broadly speaking, still really like this album. I was a little surprised at how much I still did, because I do remember like back in the day even thinking that like some of these songs are just okay, and I think by and large my opinion on those is still the same. I'm able to like kind of pluck out, you know, more of why I don't fully, you know, ride with those songs, but yeah, overall I think this is a really solid debut. But I do think it is it's interesting that it's kind of distinct from the other debuts we've talked about on this podcast, in that like it is a very like polished debut as opposed to like a scrappy one a la Thursday or Rilo Kiley. I'll maybe discount Boy Genius at this point, since all of them were established musicians at this point. But everyone in this band was 15, 16 when this was being recorded, and I'll be damned if I was making that good of music at that age.
Yeah, well, so like that's the thing with this record, is that like this was one of the first bands that felt like peers to me, I guess. Like,
yeah,
we're, you know, I mean, you're a few years older than me, so you're probably, you know, a year or two older than most of the members of this band. I'm like a year or two younger than most of the members of the band. But this was like, people my age are like doing this. And like it was, you know, that was kind of an empowering thing. It was like cool to be a fan of a band that was my age. The older I would get, that would get weirder and weirder, and then the bands were younger than me, and then it was sad. But now that's just 100%. Every band is younger than me. Yeah, but it's funny that this comes across as a more polished debut, because it's one of those things where it feels like it's been assembled out of like years of writing and working with kind of different forms and different iterations of the band, because there's more like band member drama with this band than like any other band in the world, especially in this era.
Yes.
Which you can, I don't know how much we need to go like deep into it, but there's a lot of like band member leaves, comes back 3 months later. I mean, this record is kind of largely about their bass player, Jeremy Davis, quitting the band as they were, writing the record, and then he rejoins shortly after it comes out. Or maybe even before it comes out.
Yeah, because it was like shortly after they went to Orlando to like finish writing and then subsequently record the record, right? Like literally days after they arrived.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we should kind of go through like the broad strokes of the the backgrounds. That like Haley was signed to Atlantic Records. Haley Williams, vocalist, was signed to Atlantic Records as a solo artist, but didn't want to be a solo artist. And wanted a band, so she joins this band with Josh and Zach Farrow, and I think Taylor York, who then later becomes a member of Paramore after this record. And the Atlantic thought the band was atrocious, apparently. And she had to like fight to convince them to like keep the band on. Apparently, Here We Go Again comes out of like a writing exercise. So like, can we write a song with the band that is worthy, and for the label to feel like they're, we can keep the band.
Yeah, because they were like on the verge of getting fired at that point, right?
Allegedly, yeah. You can kind of piece this stuff together from interviews with like members of the band who are not in good graces with anyone anymore. But I think that's fairly consistent across what they've talked about, that she basically had to fight to not be like the next Madonna or whatever. And like, so there's a lot of that going on, and it's like, in a way, they feel like a high school band because they were teenagers, and there's all that stuff always happens with high school bands. So like, there's something endearing about that, looking back at it now from being in my 30s, and be like, oh yeah, that's what my bands were like too. But like, they're doing it on a much bigger scale. Yeah, I don't know. Was that like, do you remember thinking of them as like, oh, these are kind of like my peers at the time?
In a way, yeah, because like thinking back on like kind of the bands that we've covered so far, I remember like looking at those bands as if they were like much older than me, which like they aren't. Like the members of Thursday are like not even double digits older than me, I think. I haven't done the math on that, but like, at the time it seemed like an enormous gap between where I was just like in life and where the bands I was into were at in life. And I don't know that there was really another band like Paramore at that time for me. I mean, there were plenty of, obviously local bands, but like nobody kind of doing it at this scale that I was aware of at the time. So like, yeah, they were kind of the first band where I like looked at them and I was like, oh wow, yeah, like you can really do this, and like you could be doing it now if obviously at the time I didn't really think about the fact that like having access to resources is kind of important, and knowing the right people is also incredibly important, et cetera, et cetera. Being signed to Atlantic already, also kind of important. But yeah, I think they were definitely like the first band that I saw, especially coming out of this scene, that I, came across as peers for sure, but like still felt like they were in maybe a little bit of an unattainable place. Just with like, the production values of what they were putting out and whatnot. But it was very cool at the time to like see someone my age really doing it, and like doing it this well. Like I don't want to undersell how like good this album is, just kind of on its own merits, like independent of, how young the members were at the time.
Yeah, like All Time Low is the other one that's kind of, they're about the same age, came up at about the same time, but their early stuff is much scrappier than Paramore's. Like there's a lot of I don't know if I just want to assume there's a lot of money behind the band at this point, but if they were, on or at least Haley was signed to a major label. That's the other kind of like infamous point of contention. I think with the early Paramore stuff is that like Haley had a record deal and the rest of the band didn't, or something like that. But that was never like talked about or glossed over, and that's the kind of stuff that like comes to a head later as they have a bunch of member changes and stuff like that.
Yeah. And like to some degree, like when a band goes through this many member changes as they do, like I understand like kind of going into like, well, what the ship of Theseus problem that you have with any band, like when is the band not the band anymore? Like what is the essential being of this project?
Right. And like at this point in the band, like you kind of just looking at the writing credits and stuff like that, it seems like it's Haley and Josh Farro, the guitarist, but Josh has long not been a part of Paramore,
Right.
and is a bit of a controversial figure in those circles, I think.
Yeah, I get that impression.
But the core, the core three members of Paramore now, like Zach Farro, Taylor York, and Haley have been there basically since the beginning.
Yeah.
Taylor being a part of like the sort of pre-Paramore, the first iteration of the band, even before this record, has a writing credit on one of the songs. They're actually like more consistent than someone like Under Oath or Norma Jean or like the kind of metalcore bands from that era that have zero original members.
Yeah, totally. And I want to be very clear here that the reason that people focus on that here is because Haley Williams is not a dude. So like there is that.
The other like kind of the thing that's sort of interesting about this era of Paramore, I guess, is that instead of having like a big push for like to radio for this album when it came out, the label was like go and tour and like get build up word of mouth hype and stuff like that, instead of having like the big label machine behind you right away, which I think like makes sense. It's like the right way to build your following and build your band, but like I think that led to this sense of like inauthenticity around the band also, because it's like, oh, not that they're sort of like an inverted industry plant idea that like they were actually out there doing the work, but there was secretly money behind them. And I don't know, it's I think it's a thing that's kind of haunted the band, and I think they clearly like earned it. It makes like they had the talent behind it, regardless of how they ended up getting there.
Yeah, for real. Like it is incredibly unfortunate that I don't want to say unfortunate, because like obviously parts of this story don't exist without the label backing and whatnot, but like it obviously it's one of those things where it's like, yes, plenty of like very talented bands get glossed over because they just don't know the right people or whatever, but like, yeah, the talent is evident here, and like it continues to be evident through this band's evolution. And I for one think I would have been a Paramore fan regardless, but we'll never know because the world doesn't work that way.
That's the thing, is it's not like you're right. It's not that everyone who is that talented makes it, but like it takes a lot of that level of talent to sustain a career for that long. And I think you'd be hard pressed to find artists who got a lot of hype or a big label push, in a certain era or whatever, who have weathered the kind of changes in the music industry and the scene the way that Paramore has.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I absolutely don't want to undersell that at all. I really like this is a band that I think was great. It was and is great on their own merits, and just happened to also have this kind of machine behind them. And again, sexism kind of plays into the blown out nature of how people look at this in general. And that has unfortunately been kind of the discussion around them. Like we're seeing it to a much lesser degree now with bands like Scowl, where people are like, "Oh, she's an industry plant." It's like, bud, what are you talking about? Like, that's an insane thing to say. Like the like industry plant talk back then, like I don't know that we had that specific terminology, but just the way that people, kind of framed the discussion around, this band's popularity just felt gross back then and feels even grosser now. but like, it's I'm glad that they were able to like kind of come through the murk of like, we're now in the mid 2000s. Recording is getting easier and cheaper. We're kind of about to crest into this point where more music is coming out than ever, and like it is harder to get noticed in the massive pile of stuff that's coming out all the time. I think this was kind of just before that hit critical mass, I think, in the early 2010s, I want to say, but yeah, I don't know. This is all to say, Paramore is a very good band, and that's why we're talking about them here.
Yeah, we definitely agree about that.
Yeah. Do you want to just dive into it? I would love to talk more about this record in a little more granular way.
Yeah, let's do it. So this kicks off with the I guess, sort of title track, All We Know. Basically starts kind of just firing on all cylinders. It's loud, fast, a huge song with a big sing-along chorus. Like, it's basically just everything they do well on this record right there in one song.
Yeah, it serves as a very good introduction to what this band sounds like at this moment. This is like, I think, the only way you could kick off this album. Especially, given that it is the de facto title track. It shows the band being incredibly tight, like kind of honing in on the sound that they are establishing themselves with. Showcases Hayley's range. Like, it's got pretty much everything you could want out of a first album.
Yeah, and it's I guess the kind of two overarching themes of this record are, a lot of it was written about Jeremy Davis, the bass player, leaving the band, and then the other kind of arc of it is about Hayley's parents' divorce. This one is much more the former, I think. And this is the thing I'll kind of hit on a lot as we go through these songs, that like these lyrics aren't that deep, but they're earnest, and like I think the effect of like a teenager, singing her poetry extremely well is like has a resonant effect with other teenagers. Like, I think that's just kind of like a universal thing. The emotion lands even if the songwriting isn't complex in any way.
Yeah, I really think that obviously we're bordering on emo territory here, if not fully in it. Obviously the music itself is not quite in real emo territory if we want to go that direction. But yeah, the earnestness really is sold by how powerfully and well they're delivered. And that's and again, yeah, it's a teenager writing songs that resonate with teenagers, and in a lot of ways, a lot of these songs I'm like, yeah, nope, it still bangs. Even if it feels a little bit like, oh yeah, I remember feeling like this, and now I have different bad feelings. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have a lot of notes on this song except that it's iconic, and the pinch harmonics in the bridge are super cool. I loved those back then, and I still love them now.
Yeah, I guess the other thing we haven't really talked about is this album is kind of assembled from 3, as far as I can tell, different recording sessions, or kind of sections. So there's a few songs produced by James Paul Wisner. This is one of them. There's a large part of the album produced by Mike Green. And then one song produced by is it Roger Nichols and Nick Trevesnik or whatever his name is. Yes, who are Nashville guys. And so it's kind of remarkable how consistent the album sounds, despite kind of coming from 3 different areas, eras of recording or whatever like this. I guess not eras, but 3 different sessions. And I think the contrast of what Wisner kind of pulls out of the band compared with as we jump into Pressure, I think Mike Green knows what to do with this band is kind of my thesis here. Is that I think I
fully agree.
Pressure is just such a great groove. The guitar hooks feel so good. They're just they're a little bouncier, and they've got his songs, the songs he produced tend to have these great guitar leads that and they're mixed really well in the sense that they don't there's guitar leads going over the choruses, which you would think might like step on Haley's vocals, but they never do. It's like they kind of break some rules doing that, but it works every time. And Pressure is like a great example of that.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing is like you dive in with All We Know and you're like, this is great, this rules. And then you hit Pressure and it's like, looking back at All We Know, like that felt a little stiff, didn't it? Huh. Weird. That was a note I had, and I wasn't sure if I should say it out loud, but now I'm saying it out loud. Yeah, Pressure is like a truly great single. It's funny to me that the first 3 songs on this album are the first 3 singles. I don't know, were they released in order as singles too? I did not check on that.
No, Pressure was the first single, then Emergency, and then All We Know comes later.
Got it. Okay. That's very interesting because the video for All We Know seems like it was done the earliest. But also it was clearly done after the album came out because they like have copies of that record that they're offering of it. Like they could have just been mock-ups, but I also know a lot of that stuff came together later in, the cycle of everything.
Yeah, no, the All We Know video is, I think, just live footage from touring on this record. That's like a late promotion cycle thing.
That checks out. But yeah, like you said, the lead lines in this song absolutely rule. There's that like little bass line after the second chorus that I somehow always forget about, but is so fun.
Yeah, I think the thing about this song is that I cannot help but hear how much it sounds like the Red Jumpsuit Apparatus' Face Down, or I guess vice versa. Face Down comes out a year after this. But it just that like something about that chord progression and that melody, just they feel so similar to me. And if Haley and Paramore get a writing credit on Good For You, then they should get a writing credit on Face Down also. That's my take.
Fair. You know what? I think that's a good take. Yeah.
Did you listen to the Simlish version of this song?
Of course I did. It turns out also very good. Maybe a little less impactful lyrics wise, but
I can only take so much of the Simlish songs, but I love that they exist. The format ones are wonderful too.
Yeah, like I'm not going to go back and listen to that one again because I don't think I'd heard it since the mid 2000s. But I had a fun time revisiting it one time.
Yeah.
And it does highlight like how good the construction of the song is, just in terms of all the instrumental production and just the melody writing. Like it works super super well.
Yeah, it's a good hook even when the lyrics are whatever the hell
nonsense
is. Those sounds.
Those sounds, yeah. Also, this song has that like kind of weird, almost not halftime, but kind of halftime thing at the end, and it catches me off guard almost every time. And I love it so much.
Yeah, end a song in halftime. It's what you should do. They do it a lot on this album.
Yeah, it's very short on this song though, which is an interesting thing to do. But I still really like it. It jumps out at me every time, even though it is something that they do non-infrequently, and is kind of a staple of the genre even at this point in our collective history.
So then after that is... Oh, sorry, did you have something else about this one?
No, I was just gonna move into Emergency.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Next up is Emergency. This is the song that I remember being like kind of the one that really launched them. I remember hearing this song a lot. I remember the music video with the just incredible emo hair that everyone has. That I wanted so badly.
Same.
This is just, I don't know, this song is just like it's pure energy that like the way the verses kind of alternate up and down with the heavy guitars going in and out every other line it hooks you in so well, and the chorus is huge. And this is one where I was like, oh, I feel like the Mike Green produced songs are great. I wonder what the kind of dynamic between each producer was and how it was different. Because like I said, I think he like really unlocked what makes them a great band early on this record.
Yeah, a lot of what goes into taking the song from being good to being great feels like it is kind of in the production. Like that bass sound that happens throughout the song that sounds like it's like one of those frog pedals that people make nowadays.
Yeah,
it's so good. But yeah, I don't think I'd watched that video in, I don't want to say decades, but at least a decade, and I had kind of completely forgotten about it. I do love that the whole conceit is that, like, there's this, like, backstory that's happening before they go to make the music video, and then the rest of the music video is just them performing the song on the music video set, and I think that's really great.
Yeah.
But yeah, this song has kind of everything. Like, it's got your, like, cool bass line, it's got your sparkly guitars, it's got Haley being amazing as always. Yeah, just very, very good stuff. Not shocked that it was, one of the 3 singles.
Yeah, the moment that really stood out to me in it is that pre-chorus that, like, really sounds like Copeland, who are not, like, an obvious influence outside of I think the band being, like, having, like, a pretty wide range of what they were listening to, and notably being a fan of a lot of, like, Tooth and Nail bands and stuff like that. And Copeland would later go on to tour with Paramore at a tour that I regret not attending.
Yeah,
but. There's a couple of the, like, softer, like, clean guitar moments on this where the softer moments on this album feel very Copeland inspired to me.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I could totally see that being the actual, like, kind of deep influence here. Paramore's got taste. What can I say?
Yeah. and then there's the crab mix of the song.
Yeah, boy howdy.
This was like
there.
Yeah, that comes out later on the Summer Tick EP, but it is just the silliest. Like, you listen to it and you hear the screams that were in it, because apparently Josh Farro wanted to be in a screamo band, and so
yeah, I can tell.
The song loses nothing and gains everything from having those vocals cut out. Like, the final version of the song is the one that deserves to be out there.
Yeah. We'll talk about a song that those did bleed through into the final version, and maybe it's not as good for it. But we'll get there. It's fine. But it is interesting to kind of have that insight, because prior to literally today, I did not know that mix of that song existed, or that vocal take existed. Period. So that lends a lot of context to a lot of things, actually.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it makes sense if you're 15, 16, whatever at the time. Yeah, you want to have some screams on the songs.
Yeah, no, believe me, I was that person. I was never in a band where it warranted that, but if I had been, I would have probably pushed for it. But it's fine. It's fine. Maybe that's truly the thing you don't know about music when you're 15, is when you're supposed to scream in this song.
I think so. Yeah. After that is Brighter. I think this song is a little bit, it's a step down from the singles. I think it's like a strong vocal performance, but kind of a messy song, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
It's like, I don't know, it's heartfelt, and particularly the verses I think are really are fairly well written. But I think it just the rest of it doesn't quite hit like the first 3 songs on the album.
I would buy that. Yeah, I think a lot of the component parts of this song are really cool. Like, I think the bass line is great on this song. And I think the guitar lines are pretty cool. But one move I do like in this song is that the third verse is, like, shorter than the other verses, and, like, generally, like, kind of slightly modified from the other verses. Like, it would almost function as a bridge if it wasn't clearly a verse. And I think that's a really cool move, and, like, not something that they do, like, deviating from, like, the form of a given song is, like, not something that gets done a lot on this record. Especially
really at all.
Yeah. There was, what was, oh yeah. It was in Pressure. I had a note where there's the feeling empty again at the end of the first verse. Like, the way that Haley delivers that, like, it feels like originally as written, it was probably different from the way that the end of each other verse goes, like, in terms of just, like, vocal cadence. But it sounds like a producer said, no, the ends of the verses need to all sound the same. And, like, I feel like they maybe got away with something on this one, which I like a lot. I don't know if that's what the dynamic was like, but that was something that I noticed on like a final close listen. And then subsequently noticed about this song is that we do kind of deviate from the path, and I think it makes the song better for it. But yeah, like it's not quite on the level of the first few tracks.
Yeah, and it's like, it's I always kind of wonder, and I don't know if they've ever talked about this in interviews. There are so many interviews with this band that I could not do deep research on all of them.
Right.
But I'm curious if there was an element of like focusing most on a couple of songs, and then the band gets to kind of try some stuff on the other ones. Like I said, there's not a lot of variation, but they do some different things on a few of these like back half of the album songs that. I wonder if they were just kind of like, as long as the singles are there, you can do whatever you want on the rest of the record.
Yeah. But in the other direction, Here We Go Again. Very good song. I think.
We might disagree on this one.
Dang. Okay.
It's got it's definitely the most different song on the album. It's the one on the record that was produced and mixed by Roger Nichols and Nick Trevisick. They're kind of like Nashville songwriter producers who had worked with a lot of Haley's like early solo demos. And yeah, it's got this like dance beat. I don't know, it just feels kind of disconnected from the rest of the record to me.
I will definitely give you that. My notes are all about how this is different from other stuff on the record. But I think that's kind of what makes it stand out for me, and obviously for me stand out in a good way. I find it cool that Haley kind of drops in her register like into a more like, I don't know if it's like a chest voice, but it's like less belty than the other songs are. And Haley can belt, so like this is not a comment on that, but like I think it kind of works, especially given the range that this song is working in, and the fact that we've kind of slowed things down a little bit, but still to like a dancey tempo. But I don't know. I think the pieces kind of fit together on this one. And I mean, obviously a little bit not related to the recording. I do love that they tie in One Armed Scissor to this song. Like to this day, they were doing it on their most recent tour, I think. Maybe not the Eras
they did
tour,
it
but the one that they did.
They did it at the big Vegas festival, which I think they maybe hadn't done it in a long time. But yeah, no, that the live versions with One Armed Scissor are, I feel like, make me like the song a little bit more, and also are just proof that like Paramore as like teenagers were way cooler than I was.
Yeah, same.
So then after that is Never Let This Go or Let This Go, depending on whether my MP3 tag or the actual. Let's see what does the back of the CD say. Never Let This Go.
I
believe with that.
I was gonna say Never is in the song title as far as I know.
Yeah. So this is one of the other James Paul Wisner produced songs. But my note on this was that this song made me realize, like see why Haley Williams had that sort of incredible tweet saying that Pool Kids was everything that Paramore was trying to sound like when they were young.
Yep.
Like I get it in this song. Like it's got like a huge moments in the choruses, but the verses have that like real noodly emo core guitar tone.
Yep.
Yeah, that. I think that Pool Kids tweet happened like the day or the day before Palafina opened for Pool Kids.
I think it was the
fun.
day before, because I remember people talking about it shortly before. I think people were talking about it the day before, and I was like, oh shit, Palafina's playing with them like tomorrow.
Yeah. I don't know. What do you think of this one?
I think it's great, and I totally agree. Like there's some like real cool like noodly guitar counterpoint happening here. The chorus sounds enormous on this song, and I think part of that is just the contrast between the verses and the choruses. There's that cool drum bit that goes into the last chorus that's like not a lot, but it really works in context. My top note on this is this is a little bit of a sleeper hit, I think, and I think largely that is because of like, they were going for what Pool Kids accomplished many years later, and I love that for them, both of them, to be clear, Paramore and Pool Kids. But,
yeah, that was that was really fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next up is Whoa. This is the kind of where the second set of songs produced by Mike Green comes in. This song is like a fluffy sing along, but it's also kind of cool as a mission statement for the band, I think. I did not remember this song from this felt like I was hearing it for the first time. I guess I didn't pay that much attention to it when I was younger. But it's a pretty fun song.
Yeah, for sure. This song, like, I really like it overall. One of my notes is that the lyrics may be a little lacking, but like the delivery definitely makes up for it, more than makes up for it. This song gets stuck in my head a lot, especially the chorus, which is literally just, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 words total. Just the woes are repeated a lot, and like, yeah, it's a great catchy chorus. I did put maybe the best bridge on this record, and I think I might stand by that. I like the bridge on this song a lot. Not because it does anything like super wild. I just think it's really solid. I'm, obviously you can only do so many singles off of an album, especially when they've released another album 2 years later. But I could have seen the song being a single, honestly. Like it's got the hooks. I think it could have worked.
I just think the lyrics aren't there for it to be a single.
Sure,
it's a little
that's
too fair. Like I'm torn between like really liking what the song is about, the idea of like of saying like we're gonna do things the way we want to do it and carve our own path and like not listen to the way that the industry or whatever tells us to conduct ourselves as a band. Like I think that's great, but I think it's a little too. I don't want to say it's a little too straightforward, but it kind of is. Like there's the emotions are more interesting and more like, I don't know about relatable, but like, I don't know, the heart on your sleeve stuff is, I think, works better for this record than this particular song does.
Sure. And I think they do, not to get too far ahead of ourselves here, but they do they're exploring similar themes on the last song on Riot too. And I think that song maybe accomplishes what they're going for a little better. But that's for sure. That's for next week. Yeah, after that we've got Conspiracy. Yeah. This is one of those songs that I wasn't super into back in the day. I don't know about you.
Yeah, this is a straight up like this album needs another song on the back half to make it to 10 songs album or song. I don't know. It's the earliest song that was like written by the band apparently. I don't know. It's one of those things where like I hate to bash it too much because it's obviously like a just like a teenager working through the feelings about her parents splitting up. But like I don't think it works like the better songs on this album do.
Yeah, and like given that theme is explored elsewhere on the album, like I don't hinge it on its it being like the only song that's about this really heavy subject. It's evident that like that Haley knows how to express her feelings about this really like obviously traumatic thing in her life, and articulate it better than most 15-year-olds would be able to do. But yeah, this song just like it doesn't quite hit the same way the other ones do. Just kind of in general. But I wouldn't say by any means it's bad. Just not as good as what else is on offer here.
Yeah. And then after that, it's Franklin. This is kind of the ballad. I guess the last two songs sort of are, but this one really feels like the one kind of power ballad they put on this record. A song about basically leaving your hometown, a classic pop punk theme, and then coming back to it and not really recognizing it. The only song that features Josh's vocals, which makes it feel quite a bit different, I think, than anything else on the album. I actually like this song quite a bit.
Yeah, I think this song is actually really great. It feels like it feels refreshing in a world of pop punk songs about hating and leaving your hometown. Like I know that there are a lot of songs that like kind of cover similar territory of like maybe not recognizing what you come home to, but like it feels, at least at the time, it feels like it was a little more novel than maybe it is now. I think it's a nice twist to both come at it from that angle and also kind of do this song in this context, as opposed to like having it be like an energetic banger or something like that.
Yeah, it's funny to have like the song that kind of could be about like going on tour and for years or whatever, or a year and then coming back, is like that's on their first record before they've like really done that.
Right.
But I mean, it still lands. Like I don't know how much time they kind of spent out on the road before this record came out, but it's I don't know, something about the chorus, just like, maybe it's because this is the one where the unlike Here We Go Again, this is the one where we're trying something different, I think really works on this album for me.
Yeah, no, I think this song is really, really solid. Yeah, I don't know. The only other note I had is that the vocal harmonies at the end are really good, which we've kind of already touched on.
They are. I could see this like this being a song that was written as a closing track. The sort of assembled out of multiple recording sessions aspect of this record, it makes me kind of wonder about the sequencing and how they chose which songs they chose to go where on the record, outside of like putting the singles at the top. I was thinking multiple times, it's like, oh, this could be the closing track. Then you get the actual closer, which is My Heart. This is from a writing perspective, I think this is kind of the most the song stands out in being that it's not about kind of either of the two overarching themes of the album. It's basically a worship song.
It is a song for the Lord. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was like I remember as like a youth group kid who was like a Paramore fan, I remember that being like a thing. It's like, ooh, are they a Christian band? Are they not? Like, do they talk about this stuff? And they would play Christian festivals very rarely, but occasionally. But yeah, this is the kind of the song from the early stuff where it was very apparent that was like a important aspect of Haley's life.
Yeah, I'll get right to it. My big note on this song is this is a good song except for the completely unnecessary screams towards the end. As alluded
like
to
it.
Earlier, I understand, but I don't.
It just like maybe it doesn't fit with the song. Maybe it's the only time they do it on the record. But like I don't know what it is. Something about like maybe it's just that I listened to so many like Christian metalcore bands at that age that like it just felt right to have a song about Jesus and with a lot of screaming.
Yeah, no,
I don't know.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's comforting to my inner 15-year-old.
No, that's totally legit. Like it is very of the era and of that scene. Like I totally get that. I just like something about it just and it's probably because I was not listening to a lot of those bands when I was 15. Like that scene like kind of crested a lot more while I was, I think, in college. So like I wasn't as on it. Although that said, I did listen to that Demon Hunter record that came out in like 2007 and thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
but that's a very different thing. But yeah, I don't know. The screams just never quite landed with me. They're not bad. I've kind of learned to accept them as part of the song. But I think the big thing about it for me is just that like there's no precedent set for this elsewhere on the record. So it feels tacked on in a way. I think it's the kind of the biggest thing for me is not that they're like, not that they're bad, just that they're so out of place. So what I am saying is that the crab mix should have made this album and then it would have been better. Just kidding. That's not true at all.
No, I agree with you that like this whole record is like there must be an oral history out there or something where they talk about this, because I'm just totally speculating, but like there's a lot of like stuff on this record that makes me wonder about like or think about who all has input when you're in the songwriting process, in the recording process, in the sequencing process, and like because there's the band who are clearly like strong-willed and working with different producers and the label that cares about this stuff, and you end up with like a couple things that seem like, oh, okay, fine, you guys can you're giving us the singles, you guys get to do your screams on this song, you get to do whatever whatever you get to include your first song you ever wrote, whatever it is, like the album mostly works. It kind of in spite of maybe sometimes feeling like there's too many cooks in the kitchen in a way.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
which is not context I had at the time. Like this is pretty recent knowledge for me.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's the album.
That is the album.
It's it's strange to go back to it. Like I hadn't gone back and listened to it in many years, and although I somewhat regularly listen to the more recent Paramore stuff, it's just, I don't know, it's just impressive that 15, 16, 17-year-old kids made this record. It's unreal.
It really is. Like it's one of those. There are a lot of records from my youth that I look back on and I go, I'm really not sure why I was vibing with this so hard. But like this record really holds up even after 20 years and not being a teenager anymore. And I really don't think it's nostalgia. Like I truly think if you put this in front of, a younger person now who had never heard it, like there might be things that they've, would pick out of it that like maybe don't hold up, but like for the most part I think it's just a really solidly written album, and like kind of despite this many cooks in the kitchen thing that's going on, like it's fairly cohesive for the most part, which is impressive for a debut in general.
Yeah, and I think you're right on with saying that like you could show this to a teenager now and it still works because the feelings of like that Hayley's writing about for a lot of this record haven't changed. They're what every teenager in every generation has felt, and she has a clear, succinct way of writing about them that like it's not judgmental. It's not like it's not trying to invalidate anything. It's like, these are just what I'm feeling, and this is what, like, I feel like every teenager has those feelings at some point. And if you're the kind of person who wants to hear those, hear the feelings that you have sung in that way, like it's gonna land. And I mean, I think that's no small part of why they continue to be such a popular band.
Yeah, for sure. And obviously, we'll be going through the entire discography here and kind of tracking the growth of the band. The perhaps exponential growth towards the middle of their career. But like we're off to a really solid start, and it really only goes uphill from here. Spoiler for the rest of the podcast, we really like this band, and that's why we're talking about them. But yeah, with us being on a 5-star rating system now with our app that we're using, it felt very weird to like give this a rating over like a 3, but I'm like, no, it's better than a 3. Like this is a really good record. It's just that I know that the rest of the records are even better than this, and I can only go so far up.
Yeah, I mean, a band can make many 5-star records, but
I
don't know how I feel about the star rating music all the time in general. But I'm trying it out. We're if for the 7 listeners, we are Matt and I are both trying out this Factory.fm, sort of like a letterboxd for music. It's been fun so far, but yeah, I'm making myself rate albums, even though I haven't really done that in years.
Yeah, turns out you do not have to rate them though, much like on Letterboxd.
Well, true.
You can just log a thing.
Yeah,
but I like having to think a little bit about what I've listened to, and that forces me to kind of reflect in a way I would not normally otherwise. But yeah, there's a lot of B-sides here. Some of which are definitely not from.
Yeah, there's a lot of songs. I don't know how many of them you could really call like album B-sides. So there's the Summer Tick EP, which came out the following year in 2006, which was, this is I guess the thing they just kind of self-released and handed out on Warped Tour. It's got the crab mix of Emergency that we talked about. It's got a cover of Stuck on You by Failure, which is another one of those, like, this band was way cooler than I was at 15.
I didn't know who Failure was at 15. I didn't know who Failure was at 20. Like,
yeah. Turns out he mixed, Ken Andrews mixed like some of my favorite records, but like I didn't know who he was at that point either. And it's got O Star and The Circle, which I think are two of the like stronger B-sides and that quite unreleased tracks from this era. But nothing that I would like slot into the album. I don't know. What did you think of those?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I mostly agree that like O Star and The Circle, or This Circle, are the standouts. O Star feels like almost too quintessentially like this album to have needed to go in there. I like the lyrics on that one. Like it's one of those songs that like takes a metaphor and then just kind of like keeps iterating on it, and it maybe doesn't work as well as you would want it to. I think This Circle is really good. I might have been okay with it being on the album, but the thing is, I feel like it could only work as a closer, and if My Heart is on the album, that also maybe only works as a closer. So I get it not being on there.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
It also feels like it's missing a little bit of like production oomph. Like it needed a little more work, I think.
Yeah, so that's another one that's from the Roger Nichols, Nick Travis sessions. Which so that's like a good segue into this unofficial B-sides album that has gotten passed around like Paramore fan groups for years. Which is largely I think not Paramore songs. I think most of them are songs that that Haley recorded with this like like I said this like songwriting duo and songwriting production duo that they did Here We Go Again with. I don't know that like there's any song on here that I particularly like or want to dig into. They're more interesting as like industry people trying to figure out what like a Hayley Williams song should sound like. She's doing a lot of different styles. Some are more Paramore-esque pop punk, some are more like grunge almost. Yeah. Some are like kind of more in that early 2000s kind of female pop rock sound. Like, and none of them quite work, which is I think just more credit to her and to the band for like figuring out the sound that makes Paramore what they are.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you like any of these? Hate any of these?
I don't. I don't want to say nothing stood out to me because, like, yeah, to your point, like most of these just don't sound like Paramore songs. Another Day is maybe the closest I think we get.
Yep, for sure.
But I don't know, like Just Like Me stood out a little bit to me. Like it was kind of dark and out of pocket for like compared to everything else. But again, kind of taking it in the context of exploring what your sound could be. Like it's all right. I'm a little into it, but not enough to like comment much more on that. I did write on my number one that song just immediately sounds like an Alkaline Trio song, which I find very funny. And I felt less that way as the song went on, but like right from the opening, I was like, oh, this sounds really familiar, weird. And then like the song Breathe Until Tomorrow is a little interesting. Like it's kind of a piano ballad. It has like kind of a cool build, but yeah, beyond that, like there's not a lot here that I care enough about to really focus on.
Yeah, I my take here is that I don't think they like nail the ballad thing really until All I Wanted, a couple albums later.
No, for sure.
But I did like that Breathe is like it's a piano song, which is something they didn't really do on this era at all. Besides that,
but yeah, I don't know. It's cool to kind of get that glimpse into like you said, what directions this could have gone and kind of gain an appreciation of what the band ended up being, out of that as a result of everybody being who they are and like contributing what they did. Like instead of it just kind of being a like, working with a songwriting duo who like maybe aren't necessarily like in the band or whatever. It feels more organic in a way, and again is especially impressive because they were a bunch of kids. And like, and they banged it out better than professionals could. So,
yep, absolutely. Yeah. Do we want to do our new final segment to end the episode?
Yeah, because I think I have a fun one for this week.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna, because we never know how to end these, we're gonna start ending these episodes with like just like a random recommendation. What's something that's cool that you liked? Sell me on something, sell the listeners on something. Go for it. You first.
Cool. I don't know if I'm going to sell people on this because it's not something that I normally find myself into, but I'm in a book club at work, and we've had a couple of heavy books recently, and all of us kind of gave up on this kind of massive Barbara Kingsolver book that none of us thought we were going to be able to finish before we next meet. It's Demon Copperhead.
Demon Copperhead. I really want to read that.
I very badly want to read it. I didn't want to try to cram it before a book club meeting, and a lot of other people seem to feel the same way. So we were like, let's pick something breezy. And what we landed on is a book called, I'm going to have to double check the author's name, but the book is called The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year. It is, as the name implies, a cozy mystery/romance novel about, of course, a mystery novel author, because why wouldn't you do that in your mystery novel? Where basically the setting is kind of an enormous mansion in England. There are a lot of players involved. A attempted murder happens. A disappearance happens. It's very. It was sold to me as rom-com Knives Out, which I have a feeling it's not going to quite reach the height that Knives Out reaches. But I'm having a really good time with it, and frankly, it's kind of the nice contrasting read I need for the other book I'm reading, which is Someone Who Isn't Me by Jeff Rickley, a much darker book.
You need something light to go along with that one.
Yeah, so that's my inside you. There are two wolves reading habit right now. I think I might have to just start contrasting serious books with light books because I think this is making my experience of both better. But what do you got, Troy?
I'm just going to stay on theme with the podcast. I'm recommending the new Thursday single, Taking Inventory of a Frozen Lake. Did not expect Thursday to start 2025 off by sounding like it's 2001 again. This just sounds like something that I don't know that they've been threatening this, but in my head, they've been threatening to just like re-record Full Collapse with the current lineup, which is just like not a thing that I want to hear. But like the current lineup just wrote a song that sounds like it could have almost been on Full Collapse, which is what I want to hear. This song rules. It is my favorite of the 3 songs Thursday has released recently. And I hope that there is an album coming at some point in the next year.
Yeah, I'm also on that train. I almost brought this, and then I thought Troy will probably bring this, and I don't want us to have the same thing on the first go of this segment.
I had a backup.
Okay, good. But anyway, I didn't listen to this right when it got released because I was at a party and I'd forgotten my earplugs. I had threatened to like go hide in a room to listen to it. So I was the next day.
Steal the aux and make everybody listen.
Midnight hit and somebody put a song from High School Musical on the aux, and I knew that it was not the vibe to bring Thursday to the party. So I was sitting on the bed listening to it, and Amanda Lee came into the room and she was like, "You good?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Wait, hold on. Are you seriously okay?" I was like, "New Thursday song. It's really good. I'm just being emotional about it." And I've listened to it like 10 times since. Maybe not 10, but more times than I usually listen to a song in a row. It rules. I think I still like White Bikes a little bit more, but only a little bit more.
Yeah, they're both really good. I spent too much money on the vinyl release for those 2 songs.
I also did because for some reason it wouldn't let me order the Tundra pressing, which is the color I wanted. It just kept saying we won't ship that to Illinois. So I just bought a regular black one and also a test pressing. And then later on it let me add it to the cart. So I'll have to find somebody who wants a black copy of this record.
Yeah. Breaking news, new Seisha single coming out tomorrow.
I saw that. That's wild. I'm not surprised at all, given how much fun it looked like they were having on this reunion tour. But I'm also a little shocked. Can't wait to hear it. It'll probably be my thing next week.
All right. Yeah. So join us next week for Riot, an album that unabashedly rules.
It truly does. I don't know that I have much more to add.
We'll hopefully have more to add next week.
We definitely will.
Right.
I have a lot to say about that album.
Yeah. All right. See ya.